Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Jonathan Jackson returns to GH, Lucky Spencer, coming back to Port Charles. General Hospital, GH, spoilers reveal that another big return is in the workshop, and this comeback will be for further than just a single occasion. Morgan Craig, is headed back to the show for a one-day pop-up this August, but now Deadline is attesting that Jonathan Jackson is reprising the part of Lucky Spencer for a much longer stint. When GH administrative patron Frank Valentini teased the return of a former Manly cast member who suckers would go crazy for, he was obviously talking about Jackson. Now that the news has been released, numerous observers are indeed getting agitated about Jackson stepping back into Lucky's shoes. The last time Jackson was seen on GH, it was for a short stint back in 2015. Although plenitude of suckers have always held out stopgap for Jackson's return, they've been stuck waiting, until now. Jonathan Jackson's first airdate back as Lucky Spencer will be eventually laterally this summer, so that's commodity to look forward to. Although there's no word on the exact length of Jackson's forthcoming stint, the show's promised it'll be a long run. Of course, Lucky will reunite with his mama, Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis, along with numerous other familiar faces in Port Charles. Jake Weber, Hudson West, has been dealing with some abandonment issues in his plot with Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, but it should be Aidan Weber's, Tristan Riggs, turned formerly Lucky eventually comes home after all this time. Lucky and Aidan's father-son reunion could come with some pressure, so stick with us for updates on how Aidan will reply to the news of his pater's homecoming. It's possible Aidan's issues will play a part in what brings Lucky back to PC, but you can go Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, will be defensive of her son no matter how it all goes down. How do you feel about Jonathan Jackson reprising his part as Lucky Spencer? Are you agitated to see Lucky back on oil? General Hospital spoilers say Lucky will surely shake up the oil, so we'll bring you more prognostications as his return gets near. Chad frees Riddle Woman, but look-alike insists she's not Abigail? Days of Our Lives, DOOL, spoilers reveal that Chad DiMera, Billy Flynn, will do whatever it takes to follow up on his new Abigail DiMera, last played by Marcy Miller, lead. Chad and Julie Williams, Susan Seaforth Hayes, weren't suitable to see the face of the Riddle Woman, Annalyn McCord, in prison, nor do they've any idea where she's being held or if she's still there at all. There are just too numerous unanswered questions right now, so Chad will hope to change that soon enough. Clyde Weston, James Redd, is in solitary confinement and can't have callers, but could Chad buy his way to one last meeting with him? That's a possibility to consider, though there's no way to know for sure whether Clyde will offer up any fresh word. Clyde can be fickle when it comes to what he shares and how voracious he's on any given day. Whatever the case, there wouldn't be important of a story if the Riddle Woman was held hostage ever, so Chad will inescapably manage to free her sooner or laterally. Maybe Chad can get Steve Johnson, Stephen Nichols, involved in the hunt, which could lead to the ISA's involvement as well. One way or another, the mystification pieces will click into place so that Chad can break the Riddle Woman out if she's still at that spot. It's easy to imagine Chad bursting in the door with gashes in his eyes and blurting that it's really Abigail. Still, there's a twist brewing since we know there'll eventually be some dubieties over whether this is indeed Abby. It's thwarting that the show chose to go in this direction since they supposedly couldn't get Marcy Miller back. A look-alike story seems kind of ridiculous if the actress doesn't look like anyone observers have ever seen ahead. Nonetheless, this should be a script word to Chad and all Abigail's other loved bones. This recast looks exactly the same. Chad may be completely induced it's Abigail at the sight of her, but she may contend he's relatively incorrect. DOOL suckers will recall that when Gabby Hernandez DiMera, Sherry Jimenez, first saw Jake DiMera, Brandon Barish, she was also induced he was Stefan DiMera, Brandon Barish, who was apparently deceased at the time. Gabby ultimately set out that Jake was Stefan's twin, so aesthetics can be deceiving in situations like this and the one Chad's about to face. The Riddle Woman may have another name she goes by and turn out to be a binary or ringer rather. It's worth mentioning that McCord was firstly blazoned to be playing a Days character called Marin, so we'll see if that's her name or if she ends up with a different one. Of course, Days is always full of twists and turns, so McCord could eventually be revealed as Abigail if she's faced some kind of swaying. There's always inflexibility in wild cleaner stories, so it'll be intriguing to see how effects play out down the road. Our Days prognostications point to Chad facing an emotional roller coaster, so stick with us for updates on all the shocking news ahead. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Chad will deal with plenitude of highs and lows throughout this Riddle Woman fire. Jennifer's time capsule attempt, Chad leaks secret footage to Lucas. Days of Our Lives, DOOL, spoilers recap for Tuesday, June 25, reveals that Diana Cooper, Judith Chapman, entered the captivity visiting area to find Leo Stark, Greg Ricard, who tried to defy her about her awful treatment of him over the times. Diana mocked Leo's script and the remedy sessions he'd been attending, but Leo was determined to unleash his wrath. Still, Diana claimed it was her fault that Leo was single, friendless, unlovable, and more. Leo ultimately acted like Diana no way should be been a mama at each, but she fired back and continued treating him like the problem. Once Leo reflected on the first time his pater hit him and how Diana told him to stink it up, she sounded a bit more affected emotionally. Leo also reflected on when he killed his father to cover both of them, but he felt that Diana no way defended her own son all. That was Diana's one job and she failed at it, but Diana ripped up Leo's script and suggested he shouldn't bother coming back to visit her. Leo said that he would end and left Diana looking a little distraught once she was alone on Tuesday's day's occasion. At the sanitarium, Dr. Mark Green, Jonah Robinson, gave Chanel D. Mara, Raven Bowens, and Johnny D. Mara, Carson Boatman, updates on a couple soft labels in her rearmost ultrasound results, which could point to a natural abnormality. After Mark said he was pertaining Chanel to an inheritable counselor in Los Angeles for farther testing, she bothered these soft labels might be due to the radiation exposure. Mark admitted there was no way to know for sure at this point. Subsequently on Tuesday's DOOL show, Leo headed to the sanitarium in expedience of speaking with Marlena Evans, Deidre Hall, but he couldn't get in for an appointment until hereafter. Once Leo broke down in gashes over still wanting his mama's love, Mark put a hand on his shoulder and wondered if he was okay. Back with Johnny and Chanel, they met up with Felicity Green, Kennedy Garcia, in the city forecourt so they could all say their farewells. Felicity gave Chanel her favorite stuffed beast and claimed she wanted the baby to have it. Despite all the dubieties and enterprises Chanel was dealing with, Johnny latterly comforted her that he was all in on having this baby with her. Johnny felt that no matter what happened, they'd attack the challenge together. At Paulina Price, Jackie Harry, and Abe Carver's, Jackie Harry, place, they bandied how the recall solicitation had been dropped now that she'd given into E.J. D. Maris, Dan Feuereagle, DA reinstatement demand. Since Melinda Trask, Tina Huang, was disrespected and turned down the head of sanitation position as an volition, Paulina still demanded someone in that part. Abe pitched himself for the position, but Paulina didn't like the idea of being his master and gently steered him down from the idea. Once Abe left to pick up some takeout from the cantina, Johnny and Chanel kept their disquieting baby news a secret from Paulina. Sorely, Chanel began passing horrible cramps and doubled over in pain shortly after they returned to Paulina's apartment.